Rapier. Now, the truth of the matter is, Rapier is one of those weapons that if you've watched movies, if you've watched animes, if you've read books, everybody is familiar with the Rapier. Everybody thinks they know everything they need to know about the Rapier, but they don't. Alright? The Rapier is actually a mostly mid-16th century weapon. It's a natural cousin and evolution of the back sword and the side sword. And if you don't know what those are, watch the other videos, okay? Because we already have those out, alright? It is a lighter, easier to carry sidearm, okay? What you would carry around town, going to parties, etc., so forth. And it is in many ways a fashion statement. What type of rapier, how fancy it is, how bejeweled it is, what type of materials it's made of, shows your status in the world. Okay? If you were a typical freeman and young gusto and you wanted to swagger around town with your weapon on your side, yeah, it would probably be pretty plain, pretty simple, pretty basic, because that's the only rapier you can afford. Okay? If you were a wealthy duke, whatever, and your rapier is more for show than for actual combat, although it could be used for combat, then you know what? The frame might be gold, might be silver, might have lots of jewels on it, etc., so forth. Okay? It is a gentleman's weapon, a free man's weapon, a noble's weapon. It is a dueling weapon where you are only facing one opponent at a time, maybe two if they are dishonorable. Okay? And it is mainly meant for a fight to first blood, where if you blood the person, you win. You win the duel, you win the fight. All right, you proved your point. Okay, yeah, death metal is better than death punk, you know, whatever it may be. All right? It is not meant for combat. Yes, you will see in films and in movies, and I'm pretty sure it did happen. You know, some duke, some king with his rapier, he's got his troops in front of him, he will draw his rapier and say, charge, but that's about all he's going to do with it. It is not meant for combat. Why? Think about this. You have a thin little rapier. Look at the foil on your hand. That's about, well, a rapier is a little thicker than that, but that's about all you got. And if you have Tom 3 or Tom 2 coming at you with a long sword in each hand, it's not going to hold up in combat. It is not meant for combat. It's a officer's weapon, not a soldier's weapon. Okay? Please note that in the 16th century, all sorts of weapons from medieval times on up were used in warfare. Okay? But rapiers were not used for warfare. It was a status weapon, and you wore it around town to show, yeah, I'm a free man. That's what a rapier was for your typical noble person or your typical freeman. You were allowed, as a free man of whatever country you're in, to carry a weapon. And that's what a rapier was. Now, there are some highlights, as it is with every weapon that we teach, and you guys will learn this too. Every class we have highlights. Highlight number 1. Who can guess what it would be? Yes?
Pointy end.
Pointy end goes in the man. Pointy end goes in the man. Now, I'm not saying, you know, the rapier has a cage usually, yes? Okay? Rapier has a cage. I'm not saying you can't take the cage and bash somebody upside the head, because you certainly can. Okay? But the main objective with the rapier and the thin blade that it has is the pointy end goes in the man. That's all you got to do. Okay? All right? Number 2, it's not about power. It's about pointing and targeting. So if I was to take my rapier and I beat him like this, yeah, it would hurt. He would get whipped, but he's not going to die. And it's not going to cause bloodshed, and it's not going to win me the duel. Okay? It's not about power. It's about targeting, and it's about precision. And that's what you really, really need to work on. Number 3, be careful using this against large, big swords and axes, because your blade may snap. It's hard to block. Okay? Number 4, Often used with an offhand weapon. Oh, I have an example, a HEMA example of that right here. Okay. Often used with an offhand weapon. Now, you will see HEMA practice weapons for side sword and for rapier that have big elaborate cages and guards, and it looks really, really pretty, especially the plastic ones. I don't like those. Okay, why? Because let us say, okay, put up your longsword. Okay, glad you brought it. And he comes at me, and my rapier is here, and I happen to block it here. Okay, and I'm running without a cage. Okay, I can do that. You see what I'm saying? It is easier to flip it without a cage. So think about that when you buy your parrying dagger. Okay? Last rule, number 5. Shortest distance between 2 points is what?
A stab.
I mean, yeah.
A straight line, but yes, it is a stab. Okay? So what does that mean? Look, guys, there's no need to try to push it through their entire body. All you need to do is get that touch. And remember, Twilight Knight rules, we limp wrist at the end of it, right? Okay? Shortest distance between 2 points. So, for example, I am fighting him with a foil. Why in the world would I try to do a stab like this? Okay? It can happen. Okay? It can. If he comes in and I parry out, I can do that if I wanted to. But why would I start a movement that way? Does that make sense? If he's here, okay, why in the world would I go all the way up here? You see how he came in automatically? All right? It's a shortest distance, just 2 points, point A to point B. There are many different styles of rapier fighting. All right? Most common one is French. It's what we see still used in Olympics today. Okay? In the Twilight Knights Renaissance Guild, we teach French, English, and if you have special needs or if you have special talent, we will teach you Spanish. The truth of it is I fight Italian a lot of the times, but I'm not teaching that because, quite frankly, you need to understand French first. Once you understand French, then we can go to Italian. Okay? There are advantages and disadvantages to each, which we will discuss when we get to the actual physical portions of this. Okay? But you need, and after today, you will have tried all of them, so you need to decide which one suits you. Now, we're going to look at some things. Because we are HEMA, there are special requirements for HEMA blades. Okay? Everybody hold up the weapon you have in your hand. Well, not Allie, because that's not it. These are foils. They are the modern equivalent to rapiers. Well, not really. They are the modern equivalent to small swords, which is a smaller version of the rapier. They're thin, they're light, they have a pointy, they have no edge. You cannot scratch with them even, okay? They're just meant to stab. They were cheap, they were easy. You can probably buy one of these for about 60 bucks. And they are good for beginners to use because they're light and they're easy to use, okay? This is an épée blade. Notice it has a bigger cup. Notice that is a triangular shaped blade. The épée blade is stronger. It is meant for stabbing, but if you'll notice, it has a little tippy point like this up top. That's because with the, not with the épée, but with the rapier, you can actually scratch with the tip. Okay? For us, because we have buttons on our rapiers, your button length is the length of your scratch tip. Okay? Everybody with me? So, if you wish to purchase an épée blade, a modern épée blade to practice with, to start with, that's not a bad idea. They're about $80, $90. Okay? Next, we will go to trainers. This is a trainer. In my opinion, this is not a rapier trainer. This is actually a saber, side sword, or back sword trainer. But in a pinch, if you're financially in trouble, it will work. These are about $45. Okay? But you'll notice, especially compared to the foil, it is heavier, it is bulkier, it does not let you have as much free hand movement, and quite frankly, the pointy will hurt more. So it's like using a spoon. No, I'm just kidding. The point here will hurt more. Okay. This blade is known as a Schlager blade. Show it to everybody. Okay. This is a Schlager blade. It is very thick. It is wide. Hey, kind of looks like that epee blade, doesn't it? Only it's full. It's full and it's meant to strike. It is meant to parry. This is the heavier end of the spectrum as far as a HEMA rapier blade goes. Okay, there are 2 levels of Schlager blade, and a lot of clubs will not let you fight unless you have the heavier of the 2. Remember that when you're buying. Okay, that particular blade has the wrong handle and cup, but that's okay. Last but not least, this is an actual HEMA rapier. This is by Darkwood Armory. It is the economy rapier. Okay, it actually normally would sell for $400. I got it for $275. If you'll notice, compared to the Schlager, the blade is thinner. That makes it lighter. It has punch fullers, which makes it lighter still. It has a clamshell, which blocks it really well, and it has the quillions, which allows you to wrap. I want you to notice how much heavier it is compared to the Schlager, compared to the foil. This is actually what a basic, actual, real rapier weight will be. Okay, if you practice with this or something like it, I guarantee you when you hold the real rapier, it's going to be light as a feather. Okay. What we are about to do is we are about to cover the 3 types of rapier styles that the Twilight Knights use, which is, once again, what?
English.
All right. Now, there are some things in common with all 3. Okay? For attacks, for all 3, there is a jab, there is a thrust or stab, there is a lunge, there is half swording. Okay? Which is something new I'm introducing because now we're HEMA. Okay? These are all your attacks. Now, I know people, well, what about if I, force the edge in and do a cut? Well, most rapiers have no edge until the last inch or 2. So you can't do that. Okay? But these are your attacks. All of these styles have 6 blocks. All right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Everybody with me? We're going to start on the left. Everybody point it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right? Now, later on, as you practice this, if you really get into rapier, you may choose to verbalize it. Okay? High left, high right, middle left, middle right, low left, low right. If that works better for you, go for it. Do it, okay, when you're training with each other. But you have your attacks, you have your 6 points that you must defend. There are always, for every one of these styles, 2 ways to defend it, okay? Number 1 is called angle blocks. Number 2 is called whip blocks. Okay? And I will show you what I mean. An angle block is if an opponent comes in and you're just angling him out. You see how I'm just angling him out? And then you do whatever riposte or you do whatever retreat. You go whatever left or right direction you want to go to. A whip block is when he comes in and you just whip him out. Just like that. You see how that move just pushes him out? And then you do your riposte, then you do your left, your right, your retreat, your advance, whatever you're going to do. Thank you very much, Tom. We'll get more into that, and you're going to try different forms when we get into it, okay? But there are advantages and disadvantages to the angle block and to the whip block. Here they are. The angle block's advantage is that it allows you to be a little closer. If I'm just angling out, you see what I'm saying? If I'm just angling out, if he's coming low and I'm just angling out, you see my point is still always pointed at me. I am a little closer to my opponent. I can stab him better and faster, theoretically, okay? The whip block, however, because you're whipping him out of the way, you have to have very strong wrist strength and wrist speed to come right back, okay, to the point. So you're a little slower. But the advantage of the whip block is that there is no recovery from that fast enough, because you've literally beaten his blade out of line. Okay? These are the two types of blocks. You have 6 spots to block. Everybody with me so far? Okay, so what are the attacks? Number 1,
Stab.
2,
Stab.
thrust or stab, 3,
Lunge.
4,
Half sword.
half sword. Okay? The other thing we have to always remember, it does not matter what style you use. When you go on guard, and we will cover on guard for different styles in a second, the pointy points to the dude's chest. Okay? It does not matter if I'm French, I'm pointing at your chest, sir. Does not matter if I'm English, I'm pointing at your chest, sir. Doesn't matter if I'm Spanish, I'm pointing at your chest, sir. The pointy points at the chest. Okay? So always remember that. It is going to be natural. I still do it. It is going to be natural during the fight to want to move out of the way. It is going to be natural to want to move your point or do one of these because you're used to fighting long swords or broadswords, and you're used to seeing long swords or broadswords, okay? And if you had a side sword or a back sword, doing it that way would be logical because that is part of how you fight with it. However, with Rapier, remember, the pointy goes in the center of the man. Why not the face?
Smaller target.
Smaller target. Why not the groin?
Smaller target.
Well, for some of us, no, because it is always easy to get it tripped up or wrapped. And you can just always miss the leg or the groin or the thigh. It is easier, hey, this is the biggest mass, so let us aim for the biggest mass. Get whatever target's open. Go for whatever target's open. Okay? So, pointy, straight in the middle. Everybody with me so far? Okay? The next thing I'm going to demonstrate, and I wish for you, well, actually, no, I'm not going to do it. Okay. What are the attacks?
Jab, stab, lunge, half sword.
What are the 6 blocks?
1,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Now, some of you are laughing because you're like, hey man, we're just counting from 1 to 6. But believe me, it is important when we start doing these exercises, you know where they are. That's why I'm having you repeat this. Number 1, French. I personally do not know why French became so popular that it is still used in Olympic fencing today, but it is. Truthfully, the reason it is not because of anything that happened prior to 1925. All right? It became popular when Olympic fencing and strip fencing became popular and the French ruled. I mean, they literally had the monopoly on winners. They ruled. So obviously it is very important that you understand this. French is very simple. You're going to take your strong hand. You're going to take your weapon. Notice that your sword has a little curvy on it. Okay? And you want the curve to be this way. Everybody with me? You're going to put your hand right in there, and it's going to fit right through that curve where the round part of the curve hits the inside of your hand, and as it extends out, it goes into the bottom of your hand, and you're going to hold it like you would hold your Magic card deck or your Pokemon card deck. just like that. It is not a death grip. I've seen people hold foils that way. No, 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 no. Okay? It is not a finger grip. That will come later when you actually have a period rapier. It is just like that. You're going to put it in there just like that. Okay? Put it in your hand correctly. You're going to stand side on to your target. You're going to turn out your foot. You're going to take a little step forward. The lower you go, the less of a target you present. So that, if you can still move forward and back, that is good. But there it is. And then you're going to take your weapon and you're going to drop it straight out like this. Okay? A lot of people will cheat and they will tuck their elbow into their sides. Do not do that. Okay? Especially if you're facing an opponent with a buckler and he comes in and he pops the front with the buckler, you just jabbed your elbow into your own side. Do not do that. Okay? This hand you may use however you wish. Most people classically will do this. Okay? Technically, if you had good gloves on, you will do this. So you may back his blade and his point away. We're not going to do that yet, but ultimately, yes, you can.
It makes it easier for rude gestures too.
Yeah, you can do this. Okay? You can hold a tankard to block with. You can hold a turkey leg to chew on when you fight or bludgeon him with. Or you can hold a dagger to block with. Okay? That is what, it's up to you how you want to do it. Everybody with me?
Aye.
This is the on guard stance. Okay? So if I say to you on guard and you were doing French, you would do this, on guard. There it is. Yes?
So pointed at your opponent?
That is entirely up to you. Now, in an actual salé, they will say always point, always point. And the reason is this, everybody, on guard. Your forward movement is this. You see that? You're stepping, you're stepping. Your backward movement is this. So if your foot is sideways, yeah, it might slow you down. It might seem a little weird depending on how good of a mover you are. I personally am not that picky about it. Okay? If you really want to be absolutely textbook, you're there, but there it is. So that's your forward movement. That's your backwards movement. Your left, your right. Okay? Whatever leg you're going to is first, left, right. Everybody with me so far?
Right.
Continuing on in the French. En garde. This is a jab. It's meant to give you some space. You see a little opening, right? There it is. A thrust is where you're leaning forward. That's a thrust. Okay? This is a jab. This is a thrust. This is a thrust. Notice your feet do not move. You are still staying where you're supposed to be. Everybody with me so far? Everybody with me so far? The lunge is a different animal altogether. If you are here and if you are lunging, you are going to take a step and lunge. Keeping your balance preferably. Okay? So if I'm here, I am lunging. I am lunging. However it may be. You can lunge from either leg. How many blocks are there?
6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was a bad
That
stab.
was a really bad one.
Okay? Yes?
When we block, are we supposed to always try to maintain the pointy and point at the
If you
base?
can. But a lot of times, especially for the low ones, you can't.
Okay.
Okay? It's alright. Bring it right back. Okay? I see a lot of this a lot of times. Okay? Comes down to a 5. Okay? and then he just comes back to here. This is not a good thing. Okay, a 5, immediately back to here. A 6, immediately back to here. Okay, gotta remember that. The French method is very good for defense because you'll notice you're lined up on the side, you've taken away half your target. Normally when you fight somebody right, they have that big shoulder, they have that target. French method is very good for defense. Hey guys, pair up, officers, you're in charge. I want them to go through pair up, movement, blocks, lunges, whatever you want.
The big thing is you want to make sure you're always putting in both types of blocks. If you're going for the thrust,
now we're going to go to the English / German / partly Italian, okay, which is very good for offense. And it is actually pretty much, what's the word I'm looking for, designed to where you can use your offhand, either with a buckler, with a dagger, with a cloak, with a cup, with a turkey leg, or just holding it out like that, okay? All this is you're going to be here and you're going to go like this. This is your on guard, okay? Your weak leg out front, your strong hand here, your offhand here. If you had a dagger or whatever, you know, or just blocking, you're here. Where does the pointy go? Okay, the arm is not extended because then you're jabbing already. You're gonna have an arm loose. Again, don't tuck it into your side. That's a cheat. Okay, all right, you're here. All right, there it is. Okay, so what are the attacks? Jab. 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 Okay. Thrust. 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 This is where it gets good. Lunge. See how much it's better for the lunging attack for that distance? Okay. Where are my blocks? Okay, so angle 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, see how he's sliding around, little bastard. 5, 6. Okay, whip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This style, because the whip is stronger on the block, I personally feel for this style, the whip is better. All right? Forward, back, forward, back. Hey! Does that look familiar? What does it look familiar? What does it look like? It's exactly the same. So basically the English like, okay, we can't use the longsword no more. We have to use this little whippy crazy thing. We're just gonna do the exact same thing. We're gonna keep it that way. And then we're gonna keep our lunge so we can get in and stab somebody. Exact same thing. Any questions? I know we're covering it quickly, but there's a lot to cover, and most of it this is going to be. Now, next thing I want to talk about really quick, targeting. When you thrust, stab, jab, whatever, okay, how many times have you tried to do something, you stab, you swear you got him, but somehow you miss completely? That's because you're not watching your targeting. If you're stabbing, watch your point. Watch it go all the way through. There it is. Watch it go all the way through. There it is. Look into your thrusts. Everybody with me? Yes. Good. The last style I'm going to teach you is Spanish. in Spanish is one of those things that people are still arguing about to this day. The reason why the Spanish style is the Spanish style is in Spain, they had rapiers that were 48 to 50 inches long. That they actually had to have a special chain that goes from the tip of their sheath to the back of their belt. Okay? Because of that distance and because of the necessity of holding them like this, they liked distance. So this is the Spanish on guard. I am going to go sideways to my enemy, and I'm going to do this. All right, you notice
Blade would be here.
I am still pointing towards the center of the man, but there it is. It is deceptive because you can attack and you can defend. Let us do movement first, however, because that is what most people question. You will go forward, forward, back, left, and right. Forward, back, whoop, left. There's a dip in that there. Back. You can even go back using the other foot, whatever you want. Now, in this particular style, you have no jab. Your arm's already extended. Okay? What you can do, however, it is very good for somebody who comes in to do a flick and get that cut. All right? It is very good for somebody who comes high up to get that cut. All right, so you have no jab. You do have a thrust. This is your thrust. Notice it looks a lot like a lunge, and technically it is a lunge. But what it does is it sets things up. Okay? Thrust, lunge. Eyeball your thrust in. Everybody with me so far? How many blocks are there? 6. Because your arm is already extended, there are no angle blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It does, however, make it very easy to do whip blocks. All right? For Spanish, it is something that they came up with because they knew with that blade distance, they could not handle it. Like, imagine Tom has a 50-inch rapier. Now, let us say I am fast enough and lucky enough to get to here. What can he do to me? What can he do? There's nothing he can do. So it doesn't make sense to lose most of that distance by bringing his arm in. Does that make sense? They are adding 6 to 10 to 12 inches by doing it that way because they want the distance. Okay? All right? And we don't have rapier lessons here very often. So use this time. Enjoy yourself.